first I want to say thanks to our wonderful organizers for putting all this together. Can we give them a round of applause? And then I want to say thank you guys to all of you. I don't usually write my remarks. I'm more of a off-the-cuff, speak from the heart. But this is a very important moment in our history. This is not a unique moment. It's come to our country time and time again. And every single time that it has, people just like you and the organizers and your friends that are here today have stepped up and done things just like this every time to beat back racism. And we continue to take steps forward. We've still got a long way to go, but by you showing up here today speaks volumes, and it keeps the fight on their front door instead of letting them just bring it to us. I want to thank you for opening your hearts and your minds and attempting to understand the view of the world through the lens of minorities in this country. Thank you for standing for justice and equality in our country and in an area of Kansas City that isn't exactly known for being the most racially diverse. It's encouraging for me to see so many of my neighbors and my friends here, but what's more encouraging is to see a lot of people that I don't know. As I started to prepare my remarks for today, I had trouble figuring out what to say. What message should I deliver? How do I paint a picture of what it's like to be black in America without sounding anti-white? How do I talk about the effects of police brutality on the minority community without sounding anti-cop? And how do I do all of these things while still relaying a message of hope for a better tomorrow and unity for our future? As I pondered over these questions, a couple of words kept coming to mind: experiences and empathy. Experiences and empathy. So first I'm going to share a couple of life experiences with you, and then I'm going to give you an illustration of empathy. And my hope is that when I'm finished, you'll have a better understanding of what it's like being a minority in this country, and that you'll show a little more empathy towards your fellow man. So a couple of years ago, my wife and I were driving along Northwest Prairie View Road just up the street, and a car pulled out of a side street and it almost ran into us. At this time, a sheriff's deputy happened to be going right past us and saw the whole thing. So he flips on his lights and pulls a U-turn. Obviously, this guy's going after the person who just almost caused a wreck right in front of his eyes, right? Wrong. He pulled in behind us. And as he walked up to the window, he let me know that I had a taillight out. I asked him if he just saw what had happened, and he said yes, and asked me to get my taillight fixed. I thanked him for making me aware of this, and he sent us on about our way. This was a very uneventful stop, but what is noteworthy is the process that I go through every time I'm at a traffic stop. When I get pulled over by the police, the first thing I do is I turn on all the lights in my vehicle. I then roll down the window all the way so the officer in his car can see my face before he gets out. And then I put both of my hands on the steering wheel. I do this so that the officer can see inside my vehicle, and hopeful that it alleviates any stress or suspicion that it may cause him to act overly aggressive towards me when he comes to my window. As I went through this ritual, I noticed my wife staring at me with this puzzled look on her face. I was pretty sure I knew why she was looking at me, but I asked her anyway. I said, "Why do you have that look on your face?" She said, "What are you doing? And why are you sitting like that?" As I explained to her, this is the best way that I know how to keep myself safe during a traffic stop. I could see the sadness mixed with the anger on her face, that she had just experienced the firsthand what it's really like to be a black man in America. Now fast forward a couple of years, and I'm bringing my daughter home from school. I get pulled over, and in her precious little 2-year-old voice, she says, "Daddy, the police." As I start to go through my ritual of turning the lights on, rolling the window down, putting my hands on the steering wheel, my daughter says, "Daddy, why are you breathing so heavily? Are you okay?" How do you explain to your 2-year-old who is being taught to call 911 during emergencies for police that this very same group of people might become the source of your greatest fears later in life. It doesn't have to be this way. And by showing up today, we're taking the first step in building a tomorrow where our children, nieces, nephews, grandchildren do not have to fear that a simple traffic stop could cost them their lives. I say thank you to the officers who are here today, and I implore them to continue doing a great job keeping our Northland community safe. But also keep in mind the anxieties of the individuals that you're interacting with on a daily basis. And that leads me to my final point of empathy. The ability to understand and share feelings of one another. Earlier this week I was studying the Bible and I came across the parable of the Good Samaritan. It's in Luke chapter 10, verse 25 through 37 for those of you who are taking notes. This parable illustrates a story where a Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho. Along his journey, he was attacked and beaten by robbers. They took everything he had and they left him on the side of the road for dead. A priest passed by. He crossed the other side of the road and kept going. Another man passed by and did the same thing. He crossed to the other side of the road and kept going. Next, a Samaritan man came along, and instead of crossing the road, he tended to the man's wounds. He picked the man up and put him on his donkey and took him to the next town, where he paid for a caretaker to look after the man. This is significant because at that point in history, Samaritans and Jews had been experiencing centuries-long culture conflict between the two groups. But despite that, the Samaritan man was able to show empathy and compassion to this Jewish man and help elevate him from his current circumstances. To me, this was fitting because while racism may not always be so blatant to someone being physically harmed, it exists in everything from hiring practices to money lending to where people have been allowed to live. I challenge you to place yourself in someone else's pain as God did for us. When you choose to experience what someone else is going through, it allows you to show true compassion. When you see something at work or in your friend circle that is racist or racially insensitive, speak up. It may be through your boldness that your friends decide that they don't want to do that and they want to join you in change. And I also encourage you all to act. Don't let your efforts stop here today. Share what you learned here today with someone who didn't come. Continue to seek opportunities to help minority groups achieve equality and speak out against injustice wherever you see it present. I want to end my time with a prayer. So if you all bow your heads real quick. God, our world is bent and broken. But this didn't stop you from showing your great love for us by sending your Son to empathize with us in our weakness. Help me to do likewise. Help me to view everyone I interact with the way you see them. Allow me to be a part of your solution to the brokenness in this world. Show me how to partner with you in creating sustainable change. I recognize that in order to do that, I need to be willing to share in the pain of others. Give me the courage to do that, and then help me to take action. Let empathy and restoration start with me. Amen. Amen. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Appreciate it.